They called him a traitor, a criminal, a problem in the locker room. France kicked him out, the media erased him, and for 6 years, the world forgot about Karim Benzema. But while everyone was busy talking, he was building a legacy in silence. This is not just a comeback of a footballer. It's the rise of the most underrated striker of his generation. If you thought you knew Karim Benzema, think twice, because what he did after being exiled, no one saw it coming. You're in the right video. This is the real story, and it's just getting started. Let's get one thing out of the way. Karim Benzema was never supposed to be the guy at Real Madrid. Not when you arrive in the same summer as Cristiano Ronaldo, Kaká, and Xavi Alonso. Not when you're quiet, understated, and French-Algerian in a club obsessed with flair, image, and noise. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. He didn't beg for the spotlight. And because of that, most people ignored him. He was too soft, too slow, too quiet to lead a team like Madrid. And yet, he outlasted them all. While other stars came and went, Benzema stayed. While critics wrote him off, he wrote his legacy, one goal at a time. In a world obsessed with hype, he became a legend through silence, consistency, and cold-blooded brilliance. And here's the twist. He didn't change to fit Madrid. Madrid had to evolve around him, because greatness doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it waits until you have no choice but to see it. He once said, "If you like football, you like Benzema." And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why. This is how an overlooked striker became a Real Madrid legend. Let's be honest, today, saying Real Madrid is the most important team in the world sounds obvious. But there was a time, not too long ago, when that statement felt like a joke. Between 2004 and 2010, Madrid weren't the kings of Europe. They were just a club with expensive suits and empty hands. 6 straight years knocked out in the Champions League round of 16. 6. While Barcelona, with Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, were turning football into poetry, Madrid looked lost, directionless, desperate. They were chasing their past, haunted by La Decima, their mythical 10th European title. The more they chased it, the more it slipped away. The media laughed, the fans doubted, even the badge looked heavy. And then, in 2009, Florentino Perez returned with a plan: build a new empire. Cristiano Ronaldo for 94 million, Kaká, Xavi Alonso, and then a young French striker from Lyon, Karim Benzema. He didn't speak Spanish, he barely smiled, and he definitely didn't look like a Galactico. He was 21 years old, from the rough suburbs of Lyon, the son of Algerian immigrants, quiet, observant, different. And Madrid didn't know what to do with him. The press said he was cold. Coaches questioned his hunger. Even Jose Mourinho took a public jab at him, saying, "If I can't hunt with a dog, I'll hunt with a cat." Yes, the cat was Benzema. But what they didn't realize was that this cat was studying everything. He wasn't slow, he was patient. He wasn't soft, he was calculated. And above all, he wasn't there to steal the spotlight. He was there to earn it. While the world fixated on Cristiano Ronaldo, the goals, the muscles, the legacy, Benzema quietly adapted his entire game to serve the system. He dropped deep, created space, played the final pass. He sacrificed numbers so others could shine. And that sacrifice became the foundation of a team that rose from the ashes. By 2011, Madrid had won a Copa del Rey. In 2012, they broke Barcelona's dominance with a record-breaking 100-point league season. And in 2014, it happened. After more than a decade of failure and obsession, Madrid lifted the trophy they had been chasing for years, La Decima. It was epic, emotional, historic. Cristiano celebrated like a god. But in the shadows, Karim Benzema had played every game in that Champions League run and had done his job again in silence. No headlines, no Ballon d'Or shortlists, just quiet brilliance. And even after delivering the most precious title in modern Madrid history, the world still didn't truly see him, because to them, he was just the support act. But here's the truth. Without him, the act would have collapsed. And that's the paradox of Karim Benzema, the man who made others shine while staying invisible himself. But who was he really? Where did that silence come from? And how do you stay loyal to a club, a system, a dream when nobody is watching? Let's find out. Most footballers grow up dreaming of being stars. The spotlight, the roar of the crowd, the goals, the fame. It's almost written in the DNA of the game. You play well, they praise you. You score, they love you. You rise, they follow you. But Karim Benzema was never that simple. He didn't want to be famous. He wanted to be great, and that's a very different mission. Born in Lyon, France, in 1987, Karim wasn't raised in comfort. He grew up in Bron, a tough neighborhood where you had to be faster, sharper, and smarter than everyone else just to stay in the game. In a city where talent was everywhere, but opportunity was rare, Karim stood out early. Not just for his technique, but for his focus. While other kids played for fun, he trained like his future depended on it, because it did. He joined Lyon's academy at just 9 years old, and from the start, coaches said he was obsessed with improvement. By 17, he was playing first division football. By 19, he was a league champion and top scorer. By 21, he had already scored 43 goals for his hometown club. But here's the thing, none of it was loud. There were no viral interviews, no flashy celebrations, just goals, just results. When Real Madrid signed him in 2009, he wasn't brought in to lead. He was supposed to support the stars, Cristiano, Kaká, Raúl. But in every training session, he outworked almost everyone. He arrived early, stayed late, and reviewed game film by himself. Teammates said he would ask for videos of his worst plays just to fix them. While others trained their strengths, he obsessed over his weaknesses. That's not luck, that's obsession. That's Benzema. And slowly, the obsession became his weapon. He scored his 100th goal for Real Madrid at just 25, became the fastest French player in history to reach 200 career goals, and when Ronaldo left in 2018, everyone thought Madrid would collapse. They didn't, because Karim was still there. And now, he wasn't just a quiet kid from Lyon, he was the general. His teammates described him as the invisible engine, the player who makes everyone else look better. Opponents called him the striker who disappears and reappears when it matters most. And tactically, coaches say he's a midfielder trapped in a striker's body, capable of dictating rhythm, space, and tempo without ever raising his voice. He doesn't celebrate the goal, he celebrates the movement before it. That's rare, that's genius, that's Karim. He didn't chase the spotlight, but it found him anyway, because greatness doesn't need to scream. And that's who Karim Benzema is, a quiet storm, a disciplined artist, a killer with a conscience. He plays chess while others play checkers. So the question isn't just who is Benzema, it's how did we not see it all along? And if he was this good on his own, what made him the most dangerous striker in Europe in his 30s? To understand that, we need to talk about why Benzema was never just a striker, but a system. How do you measure greatness in a striker? Is it goals, trophies, highlight reels, or is it something deeper, something harder to see? Because if greatness was only about scoring, then why did Karim Benzema, a player who never won a golden boot until his 30s, end up winning the Ballon d'Or? And here's a better question. How did a man known for not being flashy become the most complete forward of his generation? To understand that, we need to stop looking at numbers for a moment and start looking at the game behind the game. In football theory, there's a concept called the third man movement. It refers to a player who doesn't receive the ball directly, but manipulates the space so someone else can. It's one of the highest forms of tactical intelligence, and Benzema, he mastered it. Now, what does that actually mean? It means that when he drops deep into midfield, he doesn't do it to hide. He does it to drag the center back with him. This opens a pocket of space behind the defense where Ronaldo could sprint into. And because defenders hate being pulled out of shape, Benzema forced them to make constant decisions. Do I follow him? Do I stay? Who picks him up now? That 1 second hesitation, that's when Real Madrid scored. Still don't see the genius? Let's make it simpler. While other strikers waited in the box, Benzema built the box. He was like a chess player who sacrificed his own piece to win the match 3 moves later. Let's talk numbers. Between 2018 and 2022, after Ronaldo left, Benzema wasn't just scoring more, he was also creating more chances per game, 2.1, than most midfielders in La Liga. He completed over 86% of his passes in the final third, an elite number for a striker. And in the 2021-22 Champions League campaign, he scored 15 goals, including back-to-back hat tricks against PSG and Chelsea. Here's here's the twist. Most of those goals weren't beautiful. They were smart, anticipating rebounds, intercepting back passes, out-jumping defenders at impossible angles, reading the play before it happened. Karim doesn't just score goals, he predicts them. Now here's another fascinating piece. Benzema isn't fast. He doesn't dribble like Mbappe. He doesn't shoot like Haaland. So why does he always show up in big games? Simple. He plays with tempo control, the ability to decide when the action happens. He slows the game down when his team needs composure. He accelerates when he sees panic. He adapts to the rhythm like a conductor leading a symphony. In other words, he's not just playing in the game, he's shaping it. Let's rewind to a famous moment, the second leg against Manchester City, 2022. Madrid are down. The clock is ticking. The world thinks it's over. And suddenly, there's Benzema, calm as ever. One assist, one penalty, one semi-final sealed. He didn't scream too loud. He didn't celebrate wildly. He celebrated like it was just another Tuesday. So how do you explain a player who doesn't look like a monster, but performs like one? You don't. You watch. And if you watch long enough, you start to realize Benzema isn't a striker in the traditional sense. He's a system disguised as a forward. A system that creates space, destroys defensive structure, connects teammates, and still scores goals when it matters most. He redefined what it meant to be a number 9 in modern football. Not by shouting, not by flexing, but by outthinking everyone else on the pitch. And maybe that's the reason why when Real Madrid were lost after Ronaldo's departure, they didn't need a new superstar. They just needed Benzema to be seen. Because when the noise fades and the hype dies down, there's only one thing that still speaks louder than words: goals that change everything. But what's even more fascinating is how he used those goals to bring Real Madrid back to the top, almost single-handedly. And that, my friend, is a story worth hearing. Every club has legends, but only few players become foundations. The kind of players you don't just build teams around, you build eras around. And when Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid in 2018, the world thought the era was over. No more 50 goals per season, no more fear factor, no more magic. The narrative was simple: Madrid were done. For context, let's remember what 2018 looked like. Real Madrid had just won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Cristiano had scored 450 goals in 438 games. Zidane resigned. The dynasty seemed closed. Real Madrid turned desperate, looking for someone who could fill the gap. And the media turned to Benzema with a question that sounded more like a threat. Now that Ronaldo is gone, what can you do? It wasn't just a new role, it was a new identity. And Benzema, now 30 years old, could have faded quietly, retired to a comfortable position, safe in his legacy. But instead, he responded. He didn't just take Ronaldo's position, he took charge. Benzema became the captain, the go-to scorer, the playmaker, and the leader all at once. And here's what's incredible. Between 2018 and 2022, his post-Ronaldo years, he scored more than 100 goals in all competitions, averaging over 32 per season. That's more than he ever did playing alongside Cristiano. And yet, he still kept assisting, linking, and organizing the attack. This wasn't luck. This was the final form of a player who had been quietly mastering every role on the pitch for a decade. Let's look at 2021 and 22, the season that changed everything. Real Madrid weren't favorites. In fact, many predicted a rebuild. They had no Galacticos, no Cristiano, no Mbappe, but they had Karim. And in that Champions League campaign, he delivered one of the greatest knockout runs in modern football. Hat-trick against PSG to erase a 2-0 deficit. Hat-trick against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. 2 goals across 2 legs versus Manchester City, including an ice-cold penalty in extra time. Final against Liverpool. A captain's presence, leading with calm, controlling the tempo. That season, Benzema finished with 44 goals in 46 games. But it wasn't just the numbers, it was the weight of the goals. Every single one felt like a message. You thought I needed Ronaldo? Maybe Ronaldo needed me. It was the perfect redemption arc. After years of being labeled as the helper, the support act, the silent striker, Benzema finally stood at the center of the football universe. And he didn't just win the Champions League, he also won La Liga, the UEFA Super Cup, the Spanish Super Cup, the Pichichi Trophy, top scorer, and finally, the Ballon d'Or at 34 years old. Let that sink in. A striker once called too soft, a player exiled from his national team, a man written off for being too quiet, became the best player in the world. He didn't just bring Madrid back to the top, he dragged them there, with elegance, with intelligence, and with the coldest finishing we've seen in a generation. Now, when people talk about the greatest eras in Real Madrid history, they mention Di Stefano, they mention Cristiano, and now they mention Karim Benzema. Not because he chased the crown, but because one day everyone realized he had been wearing it all along. And as the curtain closes on that chapter, the question no longer is who carried Real Madrid after Cristiano. The real question is, did we ever appreciate Benzema while we had him? Because some players demand attention, but legends earn it in silence. They rise to heights you can't even dream of. And just when the world pauses, mouths open, eyes wide, trying to decode their greatness, they're already gone, already chasing the next mountain. One of those mountains, winning everything with France, becoming a legend for both club and country. That was the path until a little twist, one bad twist, one scandal. And just like that, he was gone, exiled from the French national team, stripped of the shot at immortality. But why was he kicked out of the French team for 6 years? And how did one scandal almost destroy his career forever? You might be wondering, could Benzema have been even greater without this controversy? Let's dive into it. Imagine this. Your country becomes world champion. The world celebrates, and you, one of its greatest strikers, are watching from your couch. Not because you're injured, not because you retired, but because you were erased. That's what happened to Karim Benzema. In 2015, Benzema was suspended from the French national team due to his alleged involvement in the Valbuena explicit contact blackmail scandal, a case filled with leaked recordings, legal chaos, and media frenzy. He always claimed innocence, but the damage was done. Public opinion turned, politicians called for his exclusion, and the French Football Federation cut him out. 6 years. 6 years of silence. No call-ups, no apologies, no Euro 2016, no World Cup 2018. France lifted the trophy without him, and many wondered, would he ever come back? But Benzema never begged. He just kept scoring, kept evolving, kept proving on the pitch that he was still world class. And in 2021, against all odds, he was recalled, scored 4 goals at the Euros, didn't complain, didn't gloat, he just played. Because that's Benzema, not loud, not vengeful, just inevitable. And that exile, it didn't break him, it made his legend even greater. Karim Benzema never needed to shout to be heard. He never chased the cameras. He never asked for sympathy. He just worked quietly, relentlessly, brilliantly. He played in the shadows, sacrificed his ego, faced rejection from his country, and came back better. He wasn't perfect. He was human, but in that humanity, he became legendary. Most footballers leave behind goals. Benzema left behind a message. Greatness doesn't need noise. It needs time and courage to grow, to evolve, to endure, even when the world looks away. If you ever felt underestimated, if you ever felt like your moment would never come, remember Karim, because sometimes the world ignores you until it can't anymore. If this story moved you, there's more. Subscribe and let me show you the legends you think you know, like you've never seen them before. Who should we talk about next? Let me know in the comments.